Okay, so you can see I have my paper towel, I have my brush, my paints, and you guys will have like a little tray of paints, but I just have little cups and a mixing tray. You'll share your mixing tray with the person sitting next to you. And then I have my water. So I'm going to start out by focusing on the section between red and yellow. The secondary color between red and yellow is orange. So with my brush, I grabbed a big glob of yellow. I'm going to wash and dry my brush. Then I'm going to take a little bit of red. Remember, red is darker, so even if you're just mixing orange, you don't need as much red. I'm going to mix it together. Careful not to just spread it all over your tray. Try and keep it in a small pile. And I'm going to mix it until I have an in-between orange. So it's not too red and it's not too yellow. Then I'm going to take my small brush. I'm going to carefully paint the section orange. Notice I'm painting the section in the middle of red and yellow. So there'll still be an open section on either side. Those sections are going to be for our tertiary colors. After I'm done mixing orange, I'm going to wash my brush. I'm mixing all of my colors with the big brush. It's just easier. And then I'm only painting with the small brush. Then I'm going to take a little bit of red. I'm mixing it with just a part of the orange, not the whole pile of orange. I'm mixing red with the part of orange until I get a red-orange. So it's between red and orange. It's not just red, it's not just orange, it's a red-orange right in between. I'm going to take my small brush, I'm going to paint that section. I'm going very carefully on the outsides of the section first, making sure I don't go outside the lines. And then I will paint the inside of the section. And then you can see after, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a nice kind of layer over everything, make sure it's all even. Then I'm going to start by making my yellow-orange. So I'm washing my big brush. Notice my paper towel is still clean, it's just wet. I'm going to take a big scoop of yellow and I'm going to mix it with my orange. Not my red orange, I'm just going to mix it with my orange until I get an in-between of yellow and orange, and we call that yellow-orange. I'm going to paint that section. Again, making sure I'm staying inside the lines, making sure it looks really nice and neat. And I'm going to fill that whole section in with my yellow-orange. Now you can see my red slowly fades to orange. It goes from red to orange to yellow. It slowly fades. All of those colors are done. Now I'm going to move on to my next section. I'm going to focus on my greens next. So the 3 open spots between yellow and blue is what I'm going to do. So first I'm taking 2 big scoops of yellow. Remember, blue is a dark color. No matter what you're making, the blue is going to be a lot stronger, so you really won't need too much of it. I'm going to put a little bit of blue off to the side in case I need more of it, and I'm just going to start by adding a tiny bit of blue. And if I need more blue, then I can always just go from that pile I already have instead of having to wash my brush. And I can see that my green is a little too blue, so I'm going to go back and add some more yellow. Again, I want it to be an in-between of yellow and blue. I don't want it to look too green. I don't want it to look too blue, and I don't want it to look too yellow. So once I have a good green, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to paint in between the blue and the yellow. Same thing, I'm making sure to go slow, staying in the lines, and after I paint it, I kind of go over it with one last swish to make sure that it's all nice and even. Then I'm going to wash my brush. I'm using my big brush to mix my colors. And I'm going to go and I'm going to take a big scoop of yellow and I'm just going to add a tiny bit of the green to it. I'm trying to make a yellow green. So I just really need a little bit of green, not a lot. Again, I want an in-between between yellow and green. So it'll be a yellow-green. Once I have that mixed, wash my brush, make sure it's clean and dry. Dry is going to be an important thing. If your brush is wet, the paint is going to start looking like watercolor paint, and it is not watercolor paint. You have to have a dry brush. So I'm going to go ahead, paint that section yellow-green. And then Once that section looks really nice, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start mixing my blue-green. For my blue-green, the blue is again really strong, so I'm just going to add a tiny bit of blue at a time, and if I need more, I can always add more. And I went ahead and dipped my brush in blue just a little bit, mix it with my green. Once it's an in-between of blue and green, then I can take my smaller brush, again, make sure that it's dry, and I'll go and paint that section with my blue-green. And now I'm ready to go and mix my violets. Now, violet is going to be hard to see on the screen just because it's so dark, but hopefully you'll be able to see my example in the end and see that you can see the difference between the colors. But if the colors look kind of similar on the screen, they aren't. I promise they're different. It's just because the screen is a little bit darker. So I'm going to take blue and red to make my violet. And again, purple is the hardest color just because it's darker. You want to make sure that your violet is an in-between of blue and red. So I just mixed mine and it looks way too red. I need to add more blue. So I'm going to add a little bit of blue. Notice I'm putting some off to the side in case I need it. I'm going to mix my violet, and my violet looks pretty good. So I'm going to go back with my small brush, and I am going to paint that section with violet. And now I'm ready to go ahead and do my blue violet. So I'm adding more blue to the violet. I'm not using the whole pile because I'll use the other half for the red violet. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint that section blue violet. Again, I know on the screen it's hard to tell, but in person you'll be able to see that it is clearly more blue. After I get that section painted, then I'll wash my brush, and I'm going to go back and I'm just going to add red to the violet, and then I'll have my red violet. Your red violet is kind of almost like a maroonish color, if that helps you when you're mixing them, just to kind of see if you're on the right track. And once I have that red violet mixed, I'm going to go ahead and paint that section. And that is where we're going to stop today. If you get all 12 colors painted, you'll just put it on the drying rack. If you don't, you can finish them next time. But at the end of class, you'll still put it on the drying rack with everyone else.